Welcome to Live and Local Real Talks Tuesday show. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Chris Marks.
And I'm Lee Barrows.
And it is a Tuesday. Good morning to y'all, and we hope you're doing well. We're keeping our eye on some weather, and there's forget about that system down there, way down in the Caribbean right now, or not in the Caribbean, but in the Atlantic Hurricane Basin. We'll talk about that as well, but we got something a little bit more pressing, a coastal storm that's likely to impact us this weekend, not connected with that system. So try not to get the two confused, as most of the people seem to be doing these days. Okay. In law enforcement in my days, and the news media in my days, and now as a talk show dude, sometimes news events involve people we know. Mm-hmm. When tragedy strikes families, I've tried to put myself in their shoes during some of the most trying times of their lives. That's one reason we're not all gung-ho about revealing a whole lot of information when we're alerted to traffic problems created by wrecks when we're on the air in the mornings. We don't describe the cars, their colors, or any of the other so-called breaking news details that many of y'all, rush to post on Facebook. No need to scare people needlessly. We will be talking about if conditions are such that it poses a hazard to driving or a problem for drivers. Yeah, we'll put out motorist warnings there for information you need to know, but it's not going to involve anything personal. We're not in that kind of business, and we put out details if those details will help commuters in the case of traffic issues. That's the way we do things. The word spread like wildfire Sunday all through yesterday with the tragic death of a well-known and respected Onslow County man that all of us knew. 88-year-old Arthur Furtney died Sunday after his boat flipped in Bogue Inlet. The inlet was rough. He and a second man on board, Paul Brown, were thrown into the water. Brown made it to a marker buoy. He swam to it nearby. Art was picked up by the captain of an excursion boat. Unfortunately, Art could not be revived. Brown was taken on board the same excursion boat. This all happened just before noon Sunday. North Carolina wildlife enforcement officers investigated per protocol. A preliminary report shows the 23-foot open boat flipped in rough seas while attempting to go through the inlet. Sea conditions along the North Carolina coast have been treacherous due to the proximity of two offshore hurricanes last week. The large waves generated by those storms have been pounding the beaches for more than a week. At least 8 homes along the outer banks were toppled in the past week, telling you how rough that ocean was. Art and his wife Pam, well known in the Onslow County area. Both are great humanitarians, contributing their time and money to any number of worthwhile causes. Both are strong supporters of the Dancing Stars of Onslow event and the Onslow Victim Center. The Furtneys have been in the real estate business in the region for many years. Art retired from the Marine Corps back in 1979 and has been helping young Marines with their housing needs since then. He and Pam are fixtures at Century 21 Champion Real Estate. Our sincere condolences for the family, the work family, their friends, and to all of those whose lives have been touched by Art Furtney. He will definitely be sorely missed. Something else that I came across, Art, during his tenure in the Marine Corps, he was in Vietnam, like pretty much most Marines were during that era, and he was one of those that got caught up in that January 30-day war zone battle that lasted for 30 straight days without a lot of reinforcements. It was known as the Tet Offensive, launched when we thought we were coming to an end in the war. The Tet Offensive was launched by the Vietnamese, the VC, and surprise, we were almost coming down, but he was there along with a number of other local folks here we've met, I've met and dealt with over the years, but to have been in that 30 days of hellacious war where virtually everybody got wounded. Many were killed. Many were wounded to the point of they were gone. They couldn't come back. A lot of others stayed with battle wounds and finished the battle. Very small number of Marines and other folks, support staff and whatever, a very small number of Marines outnumbered, 10 to 1, 20 to 1. Some 10,000 of our people were killed, as I recall. I'll have to study that again. During the entire 10 years that we were in Vietnam, 58,479, 58,000 plus of our military died in 10 years. During that 30 days of fighting, more than about that many, if not more than that many number of our enemy we killed, just to put it as it was. So the enemy was outnumbered, outgunned, not outnumbered, but outgunned by a very small group of very dedicated survivalists. So our hats off to Art and all of those who went before him, and to all of those who are still with us. Thank you.
Amen.
Okay.
Sad.
It is sad.
We hope
Very
to,
sad.
Kathy and I are still hoping to get as many of them
And
pinned
yeah,
before Veterans Day, because that's what the president's
Yep.
Proclamation is, have it done before Veterans Day.
can
So
you do it posthumously?
yes, we can. We can give. We will pin Pam
Very good.
as we did with Mrs. Tarzinski.
Good. And
Love me some Phyllis
Yeah.
Starzinski.
Oh, yeah.
and I like to. We need to do our buddy the Fed.
John.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
How long can this country survive? Can we continue surviving while our elected officials, our leaders, they're not officials, they're supposed to be our leaders, while they sit back and twiddle their thumbs and they blame each other and display open hostilities toward each other, to their fellow man? There once was a fiddler. He was also the emperor of Rome back in 64 AD. Nero was his name. While the great city of Rome was burning out of control, word spread that Emperor Nero was spotted outside the gates playing his fiddle. And we've all heard the story, though it's probably an exaggeration of the events of that time, as much a myth as anything else. But describing events like that, sitting back doing nothing while your world burns around you, is pretty much the way I see what's occurring in our nation's capital, all courtesy of 535 individuals. The meaning today of the mythical story, our country is falling to pieces, and no one is doing anything about it. Hot air rhetoric, the mainstay of what I perceive as the majority of those we, the idiots, continue to choose during every election cycle, is getting us nowhere. Portland is falling apart. Chicago is a lost cause, just waiting for another cow to kick over a kerosene lantern. The organized attacks on federal law enforcement officers. How long can this country exist? Are we going to have to sell our souls so that China can save us economically, with Russia coming to our rescue to restore order? Far-fetched? I don't think so. There is such hatred by a loud, obnoxious, dangerous minority of thugs, more dangerous than the mafia ever was, with ties, I suspect, to the drug cartels, Iran, Hamas, the remnants of Al-Qaeda. Hatred for Donald Trump. That's what it boils down to. Hatred for one person for one reason or another. The majority elected Trump a year ago. Yes, not a doubt he was the voters. Get over yourselves. He lost by 4 years earlier. Get over yourselves. A bigger majority he won by than John Kennedy had over Richard Nixon in 1960. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Nixon almost beat Kennedy. The hatred is obvious. Nut jobs tried to kill candidate Trump a year ago. One attempt was only inches away from hitting the target. There are some similarities in today's stupidity to the Kennedy administration. JFK had a hatred of the mob. declared war on them, made sure his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, went after them with a vengeance, made good on his threats to prevent Russia from installing missiles in Cuba, a commie country only 90 miles from Key West, and it got him killed. Compare that to the war on the drug cartels, the actions this country is taking against terrorists like Hamas, the ongoing conflicts in Iran with the silent killer nation of North Korea and its crazy-ass leader waiting in the wings. The pimple that needs to be popped. And when I say popped, I know I trust that a significant number of you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
A little difference today, the internal battles with left-leaning elected leaders in Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, and any number of other locations, causing major conflict with Washington using the dumb people of those cities, and we have a formula for disaster. And our own elected legislators, they cannot, will not, aren't capable of doing the one and only job that they are elected to do, and that has a drop-dead deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, the same deadline. And they're holding this nation hostage for their selfish, Schumer and the House speakers, their own stupid desires to be the BMOC.
Yeah. Big man on Congress.
They cannot work together long enough to even get on with routine business. And we, the idiots, continue surrendering our tax dollars to pay for them to do nothing but bicker. We are the problem. They're just there to take advantage of us. And we need to make it perfectly clear that we just won't do it any longer. But y'all won't. I have. We are sheeple. You know what sheeple are?
Yes.
And we're on a long, slow-moving train, and we're headed for slaughter. Anyone want to talk about it?
Sure.
910-333-0139. But my esteemed colleagues, I hope, have something to say.
Well, I do, and I'd like our listeners to call in on two things. One, who do they blame for it? Because I'm going to give percentages in just a moment. But two, whether or not they should be paid. Some have already said, Congressman Murphy said, do not pay me now. But these people are being paid. 39% polled blame the Republicans, 30% blame the Democrats, and 31% blame both.
Mm-hmm.
I blame them both.
I'm part of the 31%.
I blame both, and when I sit here and I watch or read, I like reading more of what's being told to us out of D.C. Mike Johnson told the Senate, "Don't come in this week."
The lies.
Don't come in this week.
Yeah,
that's your job.
The House.
The House. Don't come in this week, please.
Oh yeah, they're off this week.
Yeah.
Well, see, the House voted it through.
Yeah.
It's the Senate that's the problem.
Senate. And
well, isn't there any other business that they're getting paid to do that they could be doing? They've already voted for it. 435 people, a majority supported. So get on with the rest of the business out there. If that's the only thing you do during the year, there's a problem.
How about all these bills that have been introduced into legislation and they're just sitting in committees?
Yeah, I got a couple for them. I got a couple for them right off the top of my head.
Twiddling thumbs.
HR 3377 for Major James Capers Jr. to get the Medal of Honor.
Get off the pot, Congress.
You can't vote for that. Let's see. One time of the year. I know I keep harping on that when I get a chance. One time of the year. Daylight savings time or non-daylight savings time. Pick one, vote on it, and get it done. How long has that been sitting up there?
Since 1967.
Well, we talked Saturday. We talked about a couple bills that were introduced on February 6th in both the House and the Senate, and they went straight into committee, and that's where they've sat ever since. Then it had to do with regulations on a ham radio operator having an antenna in his backyard
in an HOA.
in an HOA regulated neighborhood.
The Congress has already said that
You're just sitting
you
there.
in an HOA cannot restrict you from having a satellite dish or a TV antenna. They cannot restrict you. They used to. You couldn't have any of that stuff. It all had to be cable because it was neat and pretty and it's fit the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Oh, let me grab. But no, but they still can regulate and keep you from putting an antenna, a vertical antenna up or a wire. Hams do it, but they've gotten so good at it, they put up stealth antennas, but it doesn't allow them to do the same kind of work, to do as good a job as they would like to do. So we've got a Gestapo tactics inside an HOA being used to keep people. I live in an HOA. You try to form an HOA in this community, there will be.
Oh, there are some here.
There will be in this community
No.
here. Good luck,
If they did it to mine,
Karen. Have a good trip.
I'd be moving
It's going
out.
to be I wouldn't. I'd be moving on.
When we were working with when I was working with the cable operator, and we would work deals with HOAs. One of the things is it a gated community? It's no longer you have to be gated. There's building that new one on Gum Branch Road. Guarantee you that'll be an HOA. I wouldn't belong to an HOA. Too many rules, like you're talking about. You have to ask permission to plant a bush, a tree. You got to have certain fences that meet, and you got to have Christmas lights up at a certain time, down at a certain time, yada, yada, yada.
Can't be a certain color.
Yeah. What's concerning to me, our listeners haven't called yet to give us their opinion on what they think.
They're
Should
afraid.
they be paid, and their thoughts
What did
about it? But is it because they're with the majority of the people that are saying, hands up?
Did either one of you read the article I sent you yesterday? What Warren Buffett said? It was sent to us by a listener, and he mapped out this whole thing about how to avoid this ever happening. And again, about no tenure, no pension for a congressman while they're trying to collect a salary and not to receive any pay during all this. I mean, it's got it. His plan, and it's another thing. Congress can purchase their own retirement plan, just like the rest of us Americans do. Congress will no longer vote themselves a pay raise. Congressional pay raise will rise by the lower of the CPI or 3%. Congress loses their current health care system and participates in the American people, and they by all laws they impose on the American people. I mean, he goes into this full rant, and I have to say, I like what he says. No tenure, no pension.
But here's the problem, Warren, my good friend. Do you have anything to say about it?
It ain't going to happen.
You have anything to say about it?
Well, we know it's not going to happen.
There you go.
But you know what? It's because who controls all of this? The
We
ones sitting up there collecting
no,
that
no, no, no,
salary.
no. We control it, but we
Well,
have
we
to
do
do
in a
it.
sense.
We have to do it in mass.
I guarantee you, Rayford, we could go clean house, put all brand new people in there, and a year from now, after the PACs have gotten a hold of them,
Oh, no.
after all the
The
other
rules,
stuff.
the rules are changed.
Yeah.
There will be no
you would
PACs.
have to.
There'll be no PACs.
Well,
You will get a certain pay.
Right.
And here today is what they need to be doing. They need to come up with, I'm going to go back to World War II, prior to World War II, when we were building ships, the shipyards, a number of them across this country. We had people, they had welders in there. You know how welders got paid? By the piece, by every weld. They were piece workers, PIECE workers. They got paid a certain amount of money for every weld that they did. Not to be, if they made one weld in 8 hours, it's okay. They got paid for one weld. If you got paid for every bit of work that you were accomplished, and the only work that's accomplished in Congress is when a bill is passed. There is no work done They get up there and they flap their jaws and they meet in committees and they do this and they do that. Unless something comes out of that meeting, there is no work that has been accomplished. They go into a meeting with a mission to address these bills that are being introduced or discussed or whatever. And then they address them and they move them on or they move them out. Well, first of all, you don't get paid for anything that moves out. You only get paid for what you do, sending it forward. And if it goes forward, then the whole house gets to decide whether they are going to move it forward or not. If they don't move it forward, then they don't get paid. Done.
Many years ago, I brought this up. I'm going to read it as written. Benjamin Franklin's position on paying politicians during the Constitutional Convention was that government officials, such as the president, should not receive salaries. He argued salaries would attract, and it does, self-serving individuals, and a salary-free system would encourage service based on Republican duty rather than financial gain. However, his counsel was not adopted as delegates noted their need for payment. And wanted a government not exclusively composed of the wealthy. Well, guess what? Every one of those people up there in D.C.
They don't go there wealthy. Most of them do not go there wealthy. They go there comfortable, but they don't go there wealthy. But they don't leave there without being wealthy.
I need to take a delve into the FEC and look at some of these campaigns and see what kind of money these people have. Do you know since July, Michael Watley has raised $5.8 million for his campaign. Cooper, since he announced, which was back before Watley, has already got $14.5 million. I told you this is going to be the most expensive race across the nation this year.
He's going to lose.
The
He's going up against a machine, and it's a national machine. There is no national machine pushing for a Republican to be elected to fill the Republican spot that is leaving.
Well, Cooper started setting this up years ago. Years ago, he was still governor.
At least 8, probably the last term of his.
And he's won 4
reign
times.
of terror as the AG.
The last 4 times that he ran, he won.
How many times was it reported that he was not in North Carolina? He was in New York,
Massachusetts,
and
mainly.
at whose expense was he there?
ours.
Yeah, you know who paid for his trips.
I'll do on
So
both of these campaigns and see who's donating.
I think now he needs to take some big chunk of that $14.8 million and pay for the campaigning that he was doing back then.
Well, the North Carolina
Paid
Republican
the North
Party
Carolina people.
is getting a lot of heat because they're giving money to the Watley campaign. And, you know, the rule of the thumb is you don't get involved in the primaries. You wait till after the primaries.
Well, who else is running in the primary for the Republicans?
There's some other guy. I have to look it up because I had one drop. But the thing about it is, they're already showing that they're putting their support behind Watley, and they're ignoring this other one that's running. It's obvious, but they came up with a rule that, where did that rule come from that says they can do that? So,
well, Rayford, you mentioned
place is falling apart.
You mentioned going in there, discuss the bill, vote on it. Discuss the bill, vote on it. These committees.
Yep.
And what the committees do now, they just sit there and grill people from whatever they want to grill them about.
Yeah.
And spend so much time grilling about all this other stuff. Instead of grilling hot dogs and hamburgers at their annual baseball game, they should be voting on these bills.
Well, I tell you what happens when you have a bill introduced, like into the House side. They read the bill, and then they talk about it, and they throw it into a committee so the committee can either clean up the wording, change the wording, or maybe somebody said we should add this or that to it.
Yep, and that's the problem.
So that's what happens. Nothing is ever done right then and there. It goes to a committee. And like I said, there's many of a bill, like you said earlier, that has sat in a committee for months and months and months. Pull it out, and let's take care of it while you're doing nothing else.
These people that are up there, I keep noticing, and there's nothing against it because I have gray hair. Rayford, you have gray hair.
Yeah.
We've earned them.
Yeah.
I didn't say you had gray hair.
I was just waiting.
No, ma'am. I wasn't. I don't.
He ain't stupid. You're within range.
But
It might be a gray hair.
you
You
know,
there.
have to reach all the way across the table. I don't think you can make it that far at your age.
Yeah, he was very careful not even to look my way when he said that.
That went right by her, didn't it?
I heard you.
But look at him if you take a second just to look at all. It's a sea of white and gray hair.
Yep.
It just tells me, and I like to say we're not old, we're experienced. These people, I don't want to say are experienced. They've just been up there way too long. Maxine Waters, classic example.
Yeah.
she doesn't-
Maxine.
She doesn't have gray hair because she, like a lot of the ladies in DC. I said the ladies in DC.
I'm just
They get their hair done.
monitoring you.
They get their hair done. I'll leave it at that.
Well,
But you
some
can't
wear
hide your
wigs
age.
too. Some wear
Well, yeah.
wigs. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
But
So that's as fake as those ladies out there on the West Coast in LA, huh?
For those of them that are ladies.
Shut up now.
I know.
Yeah, for
Let's
those
go
that
out to
are,
20 nautical miles while we're at it.
Oh,
Easterly
my.
winds around 10 knots
Yeah.
today.
y'all need to
Seas are
change.
3 to 5 feet. 10 knot winds are pretty light. The seas are still kicking up. Okay. This is still left over. Those waves that generated a week and plus ago, they're still, and they're 7 seconds apart, 3 to 5, 7 seconds apart with only 10 knot winds. Sounds and rivers are light chop. Tomorrow, southwesterly winds 5 to 10, seas 2 to 4, 8 seconds apart. Sounds and rivers are light chop. Now, Thursday, we're going to talk about this after we do your part too, but there's some stuff coming our way. It's going to start Thursday. Northeasterly winds 20 to 25 knots, increasing to 25 in the afternoon on Thursday. Gusts up to 35 knots, seas 5 to 7 feet, building, getting bigger, 6 to 9 in the afternoon. Near shore seas 3 to 5. Sounds and rivers rough, increasing to very rough in the afternoon.
Today will be mostly sunny with a high near 84. Light and variable wind becoming southeast 5 to 9 miles per hour in the morning. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 66. Wednesday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. Partly sunny with a high near 85. And Thursday, partly sunny with a high near 73.
All right, now pay attention here. I'm going to talk to you about coastal impacts later in this week
Yes.
in just a second, but looking around the Onslow County area and expanding over a little bit to Catterick County, that's Carteret County for some of you folks. Randy out here in the Southwest community, one of the amateur radio operators, 60 degrees at that time this morning at 5:45 or something, was it? 99% humidity, no rainfall. Joe over in the Borough had 65 degrees, had a light breeze, no rain. He also traveled over to Emerald Isle, and he said they had some fairly significant waves, rough water, 69 degrees, and a king tide. I'll talk about that in just a second more. Lee over in the Back Swamp area near Back Swamp International, that's the airport, 61 degrees, 99% humidity, no rain. Dale in Riverbend, he had 60 degrees. Was it 60 degrees, 99% humidity, no wind and no rain.
Yes.
Ward, one of him from over in Carteret County, from
Hey.
another club over there in the Carteret County Amateur Radio Group. He checked in this morning, which is great.
Yes.
Over in Cedar Point, 67 degrees and had a light breeze and no rain. Lady Blue, our very own Lee, she had over there in the Woodlands, part of Northwood. She had 62 degrees this morning, 94% humidity, no wind and no rain. And here at the studio in the country club area, 60 degrees, 99% humidity. It was calm and no rain. When that pretty young lady that walked through here just a minute ago
Yes.
to leave us a little critter,
Yes.
would you pass this along to her? Tell her to give it to
Sure.
her daddy and her mama when they get
Okay.
back.
All right.
Okay. I pass notes that way to my neighbor. Thursday through the weekend, strong northeasterly winds with gusts in excess of 45 to 50 miles per hour along the coastal areas of North Carolina. This is in the ocean part. This is offshore. 45 to 50 mile per hour winds are possible. Strong northeasterly winds. Minor to moderate coastal flooding Thursday into Friday along the Outer Banks, the Neuse River, the Bay River, and southern Pamlico Sound. A strong coastal storm is expected to form this weekend, which could bring moderate to major coastal impacts, especially to vulnerable communities. That means those are living like along the beaches, especially the barrier islands. So we pay attention to this, and we'll keep bringing you up to date on it. This is in addition to that little storm that is brewing out there in the tropical hot Atlantic. It's a possibility there, and the National Hurricane Center is looking at it very closely. It is a disturbance right now, still called disturbance number 1 as of 2:00 this morning. 90% chance of forming into something within the 7-day period. 80% chance of forming up into a tropical depression within the next 2 days. It's located about 1,500 miles. It's what they call an area of low pressure, located about 1,500 miles east of the Windward Islands. Is becoming better defined. The associated shower and thunderstorm activity is showing signs of organization, and environmental conditions appear favorable for continued development of the system. A tropical depression or storm is likely to form in the next day or two while it moves quickly west-northwestward across the central tropical Atlantic. It came off the coast of Africa on Friday. It's been moving towards the west-northwest, meandering towards the west-northwest. It is expected to be near or north of the northern Leeward Islands by Thursday and or Friday. Interest there should continue to monitor its progress. That will put it over near the Virgin Islands, the British and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Whenever it does form up, especially if it's a tropical storm, there will be an area of rotation. It will have a center, a possible eye forming, because that's what the winds do. They rotate counterclockwise, and then it forms a hole in the middle of it. Basically, it's an eye. And that's when it will pick up a general direction of travel. It won't just be wallowing here, there, and everywhere. And then we will have a better idea of where it could go. The further away from anywhere it is, the broader the possible targets are. And whenever this thing picks up, it could have a target range of from New England to Florida, for instance. That's about as close as they can come at this point in time. There is some leaning at the National Hurricane Center without saying so. There is some general leaning that this one, based upon systems, and I don't understand them, over the mainland, could keep it offshore or move it further northward than this area, which will be good, but not good enough, because whatever it does, if it comes, as we have seen, even 500-600 miles offshore, it can create huge waves. The bigger the storm, as it was with Humberto, with 160 mile per hour plus winds, generated some magnificent waves, huge waves.
Stay out of the
and they
water.
just kept coming ashore and building as they headed this way. So that we're still paying the price for that one. So don't go in the water, y'all. Rip currents are there. Stay out of the water with your small boats. You probably just want to, after today, put it on a trailer and go inland.
I realized my talents of surfing said don't go out in that kind of weather.
No,
But
they're not nice. Even big waves that are rollers are one thing. If you have ever had one of those washing machines like in the laundromats that you can see what's going on the inside with an agitator going and churning stuff back and forth, that's what the ocean is doing now. Some of it's beneath the surface, some of it's you can see on the surface. So
that's right.
Just don't, please.
Well, Rayford, I ran across this story last night, and I have not been able to confirm this yet. But
It's
it
fake.
you're going to think it's fake when I read it, because I'm like, what? but it was Dare County and Currituck County have initiated the Ocean Wall Project, a major coastal defense
Really?
effort to construct a continuous protective wall from Ocracoke to Corova Beach. The $32 billion project aims to safeguard the Outer Banks from hurricanes and storm surges. The construction is expected to be completed by June 2037.
Is Mexico going to build this for them?
Now,
I was just getting ready to ask.
I mean, we see the devastation and the erosion from storms. Putting a wall up,
Well, first of all,
Humpty Dumpty set on the
there's
wall.
a thing called Mama Nature,
That's what I'm
and
saying.
Mama Nature can be a mother. Okay. And Mama Nature, when Mama Nature decides to do things, Mama Nature is not going to be stopped.
Right.
You can divert it a little bit. You can move it around a little bit. What are they going to build this wall from? Titanium? How deep in the ground underneath will they bury it?
Well, I know the
Where?
company
To
that
the
came
center of
out
the earth?
and fixed my back patio. And they use this special type of stuff. They said they actually use it to build seawalls.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, but we're talking about a force of nature.
A seawall along the intercoastal waterway or along a river is one, but even that concrete eats away down below.
Well, that's
it.
what I'm saying. They go out there for houses and they put it up to the house. But I just can't see building any kind of a wall is going to. Did it help Louisiana
Nope.
when those huge hurricanes came through?
Nope.
No. Sure
You know, it's if you ever the simple process, the simple thing to do, quit building on the barrier islands up close to the ocean.
My concern
Go
is
on the sound side if you want to build there.
who's paying the $32 billion is my
All the
concern.
suckers out there in this country.
That way, and the ones that have to pay for parking at the beach.
Well, you know, Tampa years ago built those walls around hospitals, to your point, rivers and things like that.
Yep.
And they withstand hurricanes extremely well. They've been tested. They work.
That's just water.
Yeah, but not at the beach.
It's not water that's generating 20-foot, 30-foot waves.
Well,
That's a lot of pressure.
yeah.
Y'all been to the ocean and you've walked out into the water in knee-deep water, and have you
Been
been
knocked
have
off
you
your
been
feet?
knocked down with
Mhm.
really small waves?
Yes.
Yeah. Imagine a 20-footer coming in full force.
Yeah.
You one and done.
Chris and I have been knocked off our surfboards, haven't we?
Numerous times. Numerous times. I mean, I
Your
don't-
leg gets
you
yanked
miss
right
it.
out of the socket.
Well, I've never been knocked off a surfboard.
You're under the water. You can't take a surfboard underwater.
You've never surfed.
You're in the safe part. I'm not even sure it's safe under there in a hurricane.
It's not
That's so,
until you get down to about 600 feet.
Yeah.
In a submarine.
so
See, that's if I'd had my druthers, I'd own me something like a submarine, because I've
Yeah.
been aboard that one. She's comfortable,
Mm-mm.
except I'd make the heads a little bit longer because they're 6 feet long. I'm 6'2".
It's like somebody putting you in a tin can and sealing it. And, no, thanks. Mm-mm.
But you just go on
I
down
just-
there
I
and
just-
you
look,
just chill.
I
and-
freak out going through the Chesapeake Bay Tunnel.
I'm not going to do that.
I freak
No.
out driving through it.
You know,
Why?
the North Carolina has an inner hull.
What if it springs a leak, Chris?
Well, it just leaks all the time.
While we're in it.
you got windshield wipers.
You know that the North Carolina and the subs of that era and moving forward,
Yes.
it was commissioned in 2008, but they have the outer hull.
Yeah.
Then there's an inner hull that is not. It has spacers that attach it, and that's for sound. If for one thing, you've seen the old things. Don't drop a hammer. Don't make. Shh. Don't talk. They're
Yeah.
listening to us from overhead.
Mhm.
Remember those
Yeah.
movies and stuff? Well, that was valid because they could put a hydrophone underwater microphone down
They'd be
and
going,
listen
that
to
girl's got
everything.
a potty mouth.
But now, but now they you can't hear that.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing.
Oh, yeah, they would.
Stealth.
Somebody, one movie that somebody dropped a fork.
Yeah. Ding dong.
I mean, haven't you seen those movies when you're in a tunnel and it starts cracking, and the water starts dripping, and all of a sudden it starts gushing in?
Yeah.
That would be my luck.
It's called the Poseidon Adventure.
Sorry.
That was
Yeah.
a great movie.
It was.
Yeah, it
great,
was a
man.
good movie. And I watched that again not long ago.
Did you?
It came up on
Ernest
something.
Borgnine
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And
from McHale's Navy. Really, think about it.
It was, and you look, but what's funny is
Shelley,
you watch,
what's her name?
Shelley Winters.
Yeah.
you watch movies like that and you compare them to the way movies are made nowadays, and you wonder how you even sat through that movie that was made 30, 40 years ago.
Well,
You didn't know the difference back then.
well, they did a good job
Oh, yeah,
of
they did.
recreating
Oh, yeah.
what our minds were. They sold our brains,
Climbing up to
So-
the top there.
and there was no AI involved.
AI.
Yeah.
AI, you say?
Right. AI does not have, this is not AI generated. 910-333-0139. We have a guest coming in at
About
8 o'clock.
about 8 o'clock running for city council.
He's running for at-large seat. There are 2 at-large seats open, 3 people running. Cindy Edwards is running for re-election
So
as
somebody
an
going to
at-large.
lose, in other words, is what you're saying.
Well, you can only have
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Yeah.
2 out of the 3.
Meatloaf.
Oh yeah, and
Meatloaf?
That's who sang the song. It was a-
Oh, 2 out
you
of
talk
3.
about local stuff.
I was thinking of food, but
I know you didn't. Chris, did you watch the commissioner meeting yesterday?
A little bit of it. Yeah.
Did you say? Well, I got confused at first, and then by the end, I had it figured out. But several of the
Maybe.
commissioners during their commissioner comments closing were going off about things leaking out of closed meetings.
there's nothing illegal about that, by the way.
According to what was being said and by the county attorney, was that anything that is discussed in this closed meeting is not to leave that meeting. And the consensus was that one of the 7 commissioners leaked some information out that got back to some other commissioners. I don't know who it was, what it was about.
They did not leak it. It's the microphone that I had planted in there that I got all of that stuff and I put it out.
But
Okay?
some of the
I'm messing up,
commissioners
y'all.
were like, if we find out who did it, you will be censored. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on?
Good luck with that.
And
one.
I finally caught up to what it was all about. But I'm like,
I
a
would,
little
I
bit
would,
of drama
I
at
would
the
like,
end.
I would like for them to show me, because I look for it. What is the law to prohibit anybody inside the meeting from telling the rest of the world what happened in that meeting, other than their responsibilities to each other? But I'm talking about legally.
I'd like to know what it was. But anyway,
I'll tell you later.
okay.
I can honestly tell you that, I know the commissioners, and there's quite a few that I talk to from time. I would
So one of them told you, huh?
No, I would never ask any of them what was said in a closed hearing.
I don't ask them.
And
I check
I
them if
would
they're telling me.
never, and I can honestly say no one has ever told me. I respect that they have those closed meetings for a reason. It's not my business. If it's something that's going to affect you, me, the county, whatever, I'm sure they will come out with it.
Okay.
They have to, but
Let me just throw something at you for just a second. Suppose that you are a journalist, or not, but just suppose you are a journalist and you get a tip that the county commissioners are having a breakfast get together, and it has not been advertised. It's not on any agenda or anything else. Would you crash it? If you were a journalist, would you crash that breakfast? Obviously a meeting, because they were the only ones there, along with their normal support staff that they have at the county
you
commission
can, yeah,
meetings.
it's public. All right, I
Would
found
you-
your
would-
statue.
Would you crash it?
I have no reason to want to crash it.
Well, I did,
Well, it depends.
and I
whether-
crashed it. So when immediately, as soon as I walked in with camera in hand, they were meeting at a hotel in Wilmington in the dining room, and nobody else was there.
Was it already? Did they already put out that it was a closed meeting?
No, they did not have any advertisement. Nothing was noted.
Well, they were wrong then.
Well, we know that, but So I crashed it, and I walked in, camera in hand, and everybody jumps up and they kind of scatter. One of the gentlemen, he heads for the men's room. Well, guess who? I'm a man. I headed for the men's room too, and I cornered him.
You just a little
And you know what?
stalker.
And you know what he said when I asked him what they were doing? Oh, we're just
Having
here.
breakfast.
We're just here. No. We're. He got nervous. He said, "We're just discussing the city's business." And I said,
Uh-oh.
"Done."
Anytime there's a majority of any elected body like that that's holding a meeting, that it has to be posted. And
No, it doesn't have to be. It's legally supposed to be.
what difference does it has to be?
You can't force them to do it because these people did it. They didn't have to do it.
I mean,
All right, okay.
Should've
Going
done
back, Ray, for Jim Statute 143-318-11. North Carolina law that prohibits someone from legally disclosing what was talked about in a closed meeting. That's the title. And North Carolina, the law that prohibits someone from legally disclosing what was talked about in a closed meeting is General Statute 143-318. This statute allows government bodies to enter closed session to prevent disclosing information that is confidential or privileged under state or federal law. The motion to enter closed session must also identify the law that makes the information confidential, privileged, or not public record. Failing to identify the relevant confidentiality or privilege law could subject a board to a legal challenge, including a court invalidating any actions taken within a closed session. And I know that most of the I don't know, but a lot of the closed sessions have to do with personnel issues, and they will go into a closed session for that. So, yeah, my phone's
So what are
on.
the penalties for it?
What are the penalties for it? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
well, you looked that up. Speaking of laws being passed, congratulations to Governor Stein, for signing in that bill for that flag at Camper World in Greenville.
Yeah. Yep.
Congratulations!
He didn't sign it.
He just did not.
He just said, "I'm not going to sign it, but let it go."
Okay,
Same thing.
same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
But anyway,
Yes,
I think it's great.
It is.
You know, and all the citizens were behind it, and the council met yet last night and voted 5-0 to drop the lawsuit. Duh. I'm not sure you had a choice, but okay.
Yeah. It would be.
And not try to collect the $37,000 in
Good luck.
fines. You know,
Right.
that's the American flag. Give
It
it a
is.
break.
It is.
I don't care if it's 20 times the normal size.
Now, what happens if somebody wants to put up at, I don't know, nice of the sign, a flag 40 feet over a campground, 40 feet by 60 feet over a campground while they're burning crosses? I'm just asking.
He didn't answer. I don't know.
All right, it says right here, meetings held in violation of the open meetings law do not carry any civil or criminal penalties. That's for violations of the open meeting law. But I know they were talking yesterday that in the future, if they did have a commissioner,
What is the penalty?
there is no penalty by law, but you can be censored.
I don't care. What is the penalty?
I just told you.
Yeah, which means nothing, as we have
Right.
seen.
Yeah, probably.
How many times has
Attic-
Trump been censored? Really? It's a piece of paper.
We had it on our county commission. What happened? What is the result
Yeah.
of it?
Oh, that's right. We had a county commissioner that was
Wasted
censored too.
time.
Yes.
Nothing. Nothing.
Which meant it's just a
Wasted
piece of
time
paper.
and energy.
Well, yeah.
If you got no guts in your laws, there's no reason to have the laws. And if you don't enforce the laws, even if they have guts in them, there's no reason to have them. Portland, why do you have a police department? Portland, why do you have a police department? A cop goes to the aid of another cop, and I don't care what jurisdiction other cop is in.
Yeah.
Cops will come from across the state to assist other cops. Cops who are off duty will assist other cops. Cops driving down the highway who haven't been cops for years will assist cops.
Amen.
You understand? And why should an elected a-hole in Portland, Los Angeles, Chicago decide that those police officers who have been trained to assist other police officers and to assist each other, why should they say you can't do it?
Well, anyway.
You put politics in the middle of law enforcement, and that is wrong.
Anyway.
Also jeopardizing safety.
That was the news from the meeting yesterday.
And if that's the biggest thing they did yesterday, was it?
Oh,
don't know.
they just did all the normal stuff that they always do,
Tim,
like
I'm sorry.
zoning and stuff like that. Nothing really. I mean, it was a pretty quiet meeting until the end, and had one commissioner start off about, I don't know who did it. And I'm like, did what? Did I miss something? And then by the third commissioner that had come out.
So now they brought attention to it. So now you want to know what it was. I want to know what it was. Lee doesn't care.
Okay.
But we want to know what was made, don't we?
We're not going to know.
Oh, well, we will.
Yeah, we're not going to know, and I never ask. And
has anybody in the media been back to check on these closed sessions to see if the minutes that were taken during these closed sessions were ever made public as they're required to be? Oh, my.
I don't know, Rayford, is
Never.
it?
Never saw anything.
Let me see. Are the minutes?
Okay.
While she's checking that out, so when our candidate for city council comes in, it's a good chance for our listeners to be the moderator. You know, they have these forums.
Yeah.
Our listeners could be the moderators and ask a question today. I mean, they're only going to be able to ask Mike Yanero, but they could ask him questions.
Yeah. If y'all have questions, Mr. Yanero will be glad to answer them. He's a retired police chief, public safety director here in Jacksonville. He spent half a freaking century.
Yeah.
And as a first responder, one capacity, started when he was 15 as a firefighter. Did you know that?
Yeah.
A volunteer firefighter. He put out fires when he was 15 years old. He put out some fires that I started. You never can tell.
You know, speaking of fires, his ears must have been burning because he just walked in.
Walked through the door. He's got a fire axe and a hose in his hand with water flying from it. Oh, and he's passing off folders over there.
Closed session. You can't. No, that's closed session.
Slide under the table, grab that folder real quick, like, would you? We can find out what's going on one way or the other.
No, because I'm sure Mike had his fair share of interrogations, and he knows the techniques. You're not going to interrogate.
He's never been interrogated.
No. He did the interrogation, so he knows.
No. Lawmen do not interrogate; they interview.
Oh, that's okay. Interview.
Yeah, they just interview people. That's all.
Okay.
That's kind of like us. That's all we do is interview. We don't. When was the last person we interrogated? Well, I mean, other and that other guy. Well, no.
Yeah. There's been a few.
You know,
although I don't know.
One or two like that. No, one of them may have a few little extra issues that we've talked to recently.
I guess we ask questions of our Dancing with the Stars people. That's not an interrogation.
That's not an interrogation.
Do you want me to get this bright light on?
He's got sunglasses. He's not fazed by that. Mike Yanero, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm fine. In 50 years, 50 years of public service, there, a bunch of it as a badge-toting, gun-bearing individual. You didn't have to interrogate people, did you? Did you use some of the techniques that other individuals that I seem to know do? You just give them the opportunity to lie, and you already know the answers.
That's right. The opportunity to lie.
Yeah, you already got the answer, so you ask a question. You know they're going to likely lie to you, then you confront them with it, right?
No bright lights.
No bright lights.
Rubber hoses. No, they went out before.
They went out a long time.
They went out before our time. Just verbal intimidation. I mean, inquisition.
Question.
What's another word?
Question and answer.
Inquisition, interrogation. How are we doing? You're running for city council and looking good.
How's your campaign going?
It's going good. I've been walking around some neighborhoods, talking to people.
Good job.
Very interesting comments that people have told me, and And I think there's some things that we can really do a whole lot better.
What is the seemingly, if there is one, biggest concern or generic everybody seems to have?
You know, what I hear a lot about is economic growth, and I hear about the housing, and I hear about homelessness. So I think those are really the three biggest things that we should be focusing on.
Okay, they're concerned about not enough economic growth.
Yeah, not enough economic growth. You know, that not enough high-paying jobs.
Okay, they're looking for
Yeah.
something like
Yes.
an anchor type of industry or company or something like that here instead of a lot of little companies.
Well, a lot of little companies make up.
That's
The
the normal operations,
Yeah.
yeah. But
and we could encourage that. What we could do is
Oh,
we
yeah, it
could
should have
look at some. Actually, the state of North Carolina has an incentive grant, so folks could start their own businesses.
Mhm.
And from the city's standpoint, and even really from the county, you know, they could reduce the tax rate for those starting up businesses until they get a foothold.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
it's called tax increment financing, and we haven't used that. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to look at some of those. You know, we talked about those buildings before that are empty,
Yeah.
and trying to get them filled with tenants that are paying decent wages, so folks can, folks can enjoy life.
I don't know that it would work, but one of the things that I've heard for years and years and years of building a company folds, a Kmart, for instance. We all know about those. They go out of business, and Sears, bring it to current time. Sears over here in the mall. It's empty. It's been empty for what, 3 years or so now? 4 years,
It's probably
5
been
years?
closer to 10.
Good God.
Yeah.
And it's empty. Other stores have opened up. Other businesses have opened up all over the city and the county, but they had to go build new buildings.
And I think that's, when I was doing an assessment of a police department up in Ohio, and one of the things they did is they had a mall, and it was like a deserted. There was like 3 stores in it. And what the city did was they worked with the property owner to work to revitalize it, and they used that tax increment financing to do that. And so where the Sears building was, which piqued my interest, they had began construction of condominiums. And so the idea was to revitalize the mall was to put those people in and have a small grocery store and have some restaurants.
Okay.
And so people, if there were people available and it was in walking distance, they could simply walk through that mall to their place of
And
residence.
not have to get wet.
Yep.
Right.
Stay warm.
Nice.
Stay
I mean,
cool.
it's kind of it's same thing, same concept at Mayfair.
Right. Sure.
And how you have the businesses on the bottom, and you have residential up top, and it makes it within walking distance, and it improves the quality of life for those people. And I think that would go over well here.
It's a little bit like a cruise ship.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah,
yeah.
everything's all confined right there within 1,000 feet. That's
Is-
not a bad concept, actually.
So Mike had been told over the years about the Sears, talking about the Sears
Yeah.
building, that they still have the mortgage on it or the rent or something, and that's preventing anybody else from going in. Is
But
there something that could be worked around?
I think it could be worked around. I think part of the challenge was that at a time they kept the building so no one else could move
Right.
into it.
Right.
But if
Why?
to reduce competition.
Yeah.
But there are things that you can do and that can address that. You can have discussion about the type of businesses and coordinate the type of businesses. But that's not the only building. The old Convergence building that we have,
Yes.
and the Red Lobster. We need to make it easy for folks that are looking to do small businesses. And I was talking to somebody about opening a business and the challenges that they had. And on the city's website, one of the things we could do is have a dashboard and show how long it takes to get a business permit, how long it takes to remodel a building, what the average time is, what the average where you have to go back at, so that if you're researching to open a small business, that you're looking at that dashboard and you say, well, it's going to take me 60 days to get a permit, or 100 days to get a permit, based upon the average. And these are some of the things that we can do.
What goes into that decision-making process before a guy, Chris, wants to open up whatever kind of a shop, right? And he's got all this paperwork here. He fills it out. It gets submitted. How long does it sit around before anybody does anything?
Well, it varies. It varies on the building, and it varies on the, and that's why to me a dashboard would be good, because if Chris wants to open a building, if Chris wants to open a business and he does his research, he knows it's going to take 60, 90, 120 days to do that. And here are the things that commonly are a challenge for those business owners. If they buy a building that didn't have sprinkler systems, for example, and so if I'm researching to open my small business, even if it's a smaller business, then I know what kinds of things that I ought to look for when I'm looking for a place to be, and how to overcome those.
Well, I can see that if you had your dashboard, maybe click on here for building A, building B, building C. In case you're looking at some of these buildings,
Right.
pick some of the more likely ones that somebody's going to look for,
Right.
and say, okay, is this building? Here's what this building needs. This building depends upon your business, but it could require sprinklers. It could require firewalls. It could require whatever the possible potential requirements. I can see putting that in there. And so that would help people decide, okay, well, first of all, that's going to be too expensive for me to do, too time consuming. Let me move on and find something else.
Well, and also it gives you an idea of, if it's truly a partnership, one of the things that we ought to look at is, okay, because it's expensive, can we have incentives? For example, downtown. I mean, downtown, there's state funding for historical buildings.
Right.
There's state funding for facades. And so if you come in and Chris wants to open a small business, then having all those resources in one place and saying, okay, here are the things that we can do to help you be successful, because our goal should be to make you successful, and make you successful enough that you could pay decent wages to your employees, so that they have a better quality of life. And I think that all goes back. I mean, it circles back to some of the issues with homelessness and how we can address homelessness. Having a city that has high-paying jobs and enables folks entrepreneurs to go out and open their businesses is extremely important. And that's how the experience that I've had to go to other communities. I know that I'm assessing police departments, but you can't separate what the police do with the community. And so a lot of times, one of the things that I always go and talk to is the Chamber of Commerce, and listen to what their challenges are and how they overcome their challenges. And so what I've seen is cities that prosper very, very well, and cities that don't prosper very, very well. And I think a lot of it is how we collaborate together and how we look to improve the quality of life. And improving the quality of life just doesn't mean that we open a park, although that's part of it. It's how we focus on our business community and how we improve those qualities. Because when I was in Ohio, I said, "Man, this is a good idea." They have this old mall that's empty, and they're going to create something similar to Mayfair, which is, and some of those other shopping centers like that. I mean, that's a good idea. It's repurposing that building. It doesn't have to, what they do will improve all those stores in the mall.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because anchor stores attract a lot of people,
Sure they do.
and if you don't have some good anchor stores in a mall, the whole mall will suffer. So a lot of those small businesses depend upon anchor stores like a Sears, like a Penny's, like Belk's.
Mm-hmm.
They depend on those stores to bring in other customers for them.
I had a friend that was in Minnesota for some medical tests, and Mike, she was staying in a hotel that's similar to what you're talking about. I said, "What do you mean you don't go outside?" She goes, "Get on the elevator, go down, go see my doctor, and go shopping, go get something to eat." Similar to what you were talking about in Ohio. It seems maybe the trend now.
Yeah, and the other thing that we're really becoming a retirement community for military folks.
You got that right.
And so, somebody that's 80, 90 years old doesn't want to drive down Western Boulevard.
Amen.
And so having those kinds of things that are readily available makes it easier on them.
I'm redoing my Jeep so I can drive on Western. What?
Torpedoes on the front.
No. I want to get some of those railroad tracks, those really thick railroad tracks. I want to put them on the front and on the back and let people see them. I think they'll stay away from me then.
Well, I'm hoping that the state continues the bypass and goes over to Drummer-Kellum, which will,
Wouldn't that be good?
well, I mean, it'll alleviate a lot of that pressure on that. On that, and I know it's in the planning process. I don't know exactly where it's going right now, but I think that's gonna improve Western Boulevard.
And they're getting ready to redo one of the intersections right where Parkway comes off onto Western.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to start that October 27th, and that's going to last for over a year.
Year and a half.
Year and a half to redoing that. And I'm like,
And that's part of that extension of the bypass to go to Drummer-Kellum, which is, to me, is going to be very important because it's going to take a lot of that pressure off Western Boulevard.
right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, from a former city resident standpoint, it seems like, one, you got a good idea in your mind of what you're bringing to the table for the residents of this city, and this idea that you've seen. I mean, fortunately for us, you've been able to travel to other states, albeit working or studying the police department, but you saw all the other little things that make up that community. And by all means, the law enforcement is top on my list, but the shopping centers, the homeless situation in those areas. You mentioned ours is pretty bad. I guess I don't want to put it that way, but it is. It's pretty bad.
Well, I mean, it's gotten progressively worse, and I think there's a lot of things that we can do to improve that. But I mean, if it's a single parent and they're trying to raise their kids, they need to be able to effectively raise their kids. And when you talk about childcare, and when you talk about all the other expenses, you really have to think about how do we increase folks' ability to live a good life,
To work. Yeah. But if you got two kids and you are single, just getting them home on just snow days, bad weather days, that's going to affect your ability to work.
Yeah.
Having to pick
There's-
them up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I got to work the early shift. I can come in at 7 o'clock and get off, but I got to get off at 2:30.
Well,
It might not fit the employer's narrative, right?
and we were kind of lucky when Mike served on our Boys and Girls Club. We had that available. Now you have one place.
Yeah, and I mean, one place is bringing a lot of, in the chamber, bringing a lot of folks together to have a discussion about childcare. And of course, Friday was the YMCA tournament just over the hill here, and what they did, what the funds will go for is scholarships for folks that can't afford.
Yeah.
And Boys and Girls Club, they bought that building, and I've been tasked with helping them get that up and running.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's an important part of our community. It's an important part of economic growth. Because if you can't afford to take your kids to daycare, then you can't afford to work.
Right.
There was 10 years ago or more now, at the intersection of Old Bridge Street and Marine Boulevard, there was a viable business there. And I'm not talking about where the boat ramp is. I'm talking about the store that was there on the corner.
Yeah.
That the city bought the property, condemned the property, bought it, somehow acquired said piece of property for the pantry, whatever the name of the store was, whatever kind of store, a convenience store.
Mhm.
Handy Mark.
That's a good one. What's going on? There's no construction there. There's no, I mean, I was led to believe there was going to be a welcome center. Come on down. Here's Jacksonville. What happened?
Yeah. Of course, I'm not sure what happened to that, but the Welcome Center was in the plans to be done and to be built there.
Yeah.
And have some offices and just have an area where people can get information. And
A lot of people get concerned about things like that have happened, and are they continuing to happen in other places? You took a viable piece of property that had a viable business that was paying taxes into the city and the county, and now there's no tax being generated, and you spend a lot of money for this piece of property, and the business is gone, and no money coming in.
that's something I remember they were working on
Yeah.
it as I went to some of those city council and
I
meetings.
just don't know
but
what
I don't
happened. I've been waiting for a status report. I haven't heard one, so I thought maybe you would have heard something. But that's little things like that, I think, is what concerns people about any city. Now, thank God, as far as I know, that's the biggest is asked me about what happened to that place, and that's because I used to be down there a lot. But what's happened to that place? I haven't heard a bunch of other stores, the same thing happening. The businesses that were located at and down towards the water were taken over by the city, state, and county with probably one of the most marvelous 3 government operations, synchronized operations that I've ever seen in putting in that boat ramp facility. That was put
It is
there.
a nice boat ramp.
And I have, if you don't believe it, whether it's being used or not, pick any weekend during trout season and let me know how it works out for you.
Last
and
weekend,
try to find a parking space.
last weekend when the weather was so bad and we were telling everybody, you were just like, stay out of the water. When I went by there, oh yeah, there was boats, boat trailers.
Well, you had some hardcore guys that are going to be out there in
They
the
were out
river. Don't go in the ocean, but those who know what they're doing, they can do it. They can still fish
How
on
can
any
you
given
not
day, except
go?
during a hurricane.
How can you not go to the inlet being that close? You have to go.
It's
Yeah.
18 miles
Have to
away. No, you
go.
don't.
Mike, so downtown was the New Bridge Street was redone and had a little celebration down there.
Yeah, I think they need to have more of that.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Because I was down there and
Yeah.
I was walking around and talking to some of the merchants there. They were excited about that, and I think that kind of excitement. I mean,
That's great.
We should do that on a regular basis.
I think so too, because we got, I won't say the word cheated, but we got knocked out of our riverfront being able to do things like that. So expanding it up New Bridge Street, I think is absolutely wonderful. You know what I'm talking about, the riverfront.
What's wrong with the riverfront? Did
It's-
they move it?
It's all jailhouses and courthouses.
Oh,
We could have,
Well,
you
we-
know which side I'm on that. We could have taken it and refurbished it and had,
you need to give those folks their review, you know?
oh, we could have had like our own cotton mill down there, like Wilmington has.
A what?
A cotton mill.
Cotton exchange?
The cotton, whatever it is, cotton mill, cotton. I got confused.
That went out with
Savannah.
Eli Whitney. You
The
understand
cotton
that, right?
exchange. Do what? Is it still there?
Yes.
Good. I need to go. Anyway,
Mike, let me, oh,
no.
go ahead.
but it was beautiful, absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful downtown, and I would love to see more of that.
Mike,
Well, I mean, it encourages merchants.
Yes.
It stimulates businesses.
Yes.
You know, having it in that area, having those kinds of things in that area are extremely important to growing our community and making it a better place to live.
And you know, we've revitalized a lot of Court Street thanks
Mhm.
to Martin Aragona and his companies. I mean, we could eventually, I would like the city eventually be able to stretch it all the way down there and just keep it going to that area, right into Riverwalk Park.
Well, and a lot of communities have that. In fact, there's the Riverwalk Festival in Wilmington this
Yep.
weekend, and it stretches all the way from one end of
North of the Hilton, all the way down.
Yeah.
and so there's it attracts hundreds and hundreds of people, and there's no reason why we can't do
I
that.
think the city's done an excellent job with that downtown. Excellent.
Well, speaking of that, so Mike, a lot of the cities, Greenville has it. You're talking about Wilmington's. What about Jacksonville having something in music in the park on Friday nights? We used to have
We
downtown
used to have
alive.
that
Yeah,
downtown alive.
I mean, they
Yeah.
should do that.
New
They
Bridge
should-
Street would be an ideal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I say. If you open up New Bridge Street, go all the way down to Court, all the way down to the Riverwalk Park, and
Yeah.
have a concert, I mean, I think it would just be wow.
Well, right on New Bridge Street, that's an easy to control access there. You
Right.
block it off on each end and you're
Yeah.
good to go, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I encourage those. I think that stimulates economic growth
Mhm.
because it helps all those businesses along through there to prosper. And then other businesses will come because, if you have it on a very regular basis, then they say, oh, I can, going back to helping them get started, then they know that they have folks that are going to be down there on a very regular basis.
That's a good idea, Mike.
I got another question. I feel like I'm doing a one-on-one
Yeah,
interview here.
yeah.
Sorry,
I
but
had my flu shot yesterday. I'm like,
keep it over there.
I'm just
Keep-
like,
keep
no,
it-
I'm just like in a coma right now.
So,
Go ahead.
Mike, you've attended probably more share of city council meetings than,
Yes, you have.
than a lot of people do. The public comment speaking time. Has anybody talked to you about that? About extending it maybe to a little longer, or do you think that the amount of time that a citizen has is enough?
With a city council meeting, it's a little bit more structured, but we can't listen enough. I think that's part of the challenge when we talk to our citizens, but we have to listen to them.
Right.
And I think town hall meetings and the city council might not be the right thing, but having quarterly town hall meetings where city staff sits down and listens to folks and works
Yeah, I
with
like
them
that.
could be and of course the dashboard could help too.
Right.
Because you don't have to just put planning and stuff. I'm not picking on planning, but you can have information about fire, you can have information about, and so you go to the website and you look at the dashboard and it says here's how many folks are playing softball, how many folks are, so that our citizens know what's going on. And so if we can use the digital media to our advantage, then we should.
Yeah.
And but nothing beats a face-to-face conversation. But, I think sometimes and I've been in city council meetings that have gone till 3:00 in the morning.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that one. Yes.
And, that's the reason I think for the 3 minutes is to help control that. But there's other opportunities for us to create that atmosphere where we can sit down and talk to folks in that kind of, and even if it's on the one-to-one, we used to, and I think the police department still does, is we used to go, they called it coffee with the
Coffee
chief.
with the chief.
Yes.
And so what we did is we went out, we talked a little bit, and then we all sat down with our citizens, and we listened to all kinds of concerns, and we'd have a number of staff people there. Well, that may be the avenue that we need to take to encourage people to, if they didn't get what they had to say in that
Mhm.
3 minutes, come to those town hall meetings.
Yeah, that's a lot of good points there. And going back to what you said, 3 minutes, ample, I think. Being on the side where we had to allow public comments,
Right.
Well,
we can get so long after that. But like he said, there's so many other avenues for that person to be able to speak. And the one-on-one, like Mike is saying, I think is the best.
yeah, the 3 minutes is probably very adequate.
Mm.
Just listening to some of the people who get up and really get a little confused. But if there's something or an organization that needs time, they can also request an agenda time. It can be put on the agenda if they can,
Yeah.
request it, and some member of council or members of council and or manager, I'm not sure how it works in Jacksonville, but they agree to put it on the agenda, then they can have some time to be on the agenda.
Depending, and especially if it's related to some type of,
An organization or whatever, a situation is need to be brought to your attention.
yeah. I mean, if it's a community challenge,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
and
Not if it's a one-on-one beef. I don't care
Right.
about their water bill, because I have a big water bill too. But no fault of mine. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. But little things like that. That's a one-on-one beef. Okay.
yeah, I mean, just like we're talking about the child care issue,
Child care issues.
child abuse
Reached
issues.
across America. What are the other major events or issues that are?
And they do this, the one city moment, which could be very beneficial. People could take advantage of as well. So I think all those things can be used to communicate. Because I think, in my experience, the most challenging part about being a city official was being able to connect with the community and being able to hear what they have to say. And so we did front porch roll call where we went out and so there's other opportunities to engage. A friend of mine was in Greensboro, and once a month they would walk a neighborhood and knock on doors.
You might be able to do that around here, but I know some towns out west you don't want to do that in, do you?
But
Portland
yeah, that's for sure.
might have to give you your pickaxe handle
Thank
back.
God we live in Eastern North Carolina.
Absolutely.
But I mean, there's other opportunities to do that.
Mike, if you're willing, we've got phone lines open.
Oh, okay.
910-333-0139 if you want.
Yeah, if somebody wants to ask Mike and Era a question, yes, he is a retired cop. Yes, he's been around for a while here, and he's but he's picked Jacksonville as his permanent home. So he's here. He's here to stay. He's running for city council at large. That means everybody in the city can vote for him.
That's right.
Okay, so that's it. And we've talked to him about why they should. He's answered that a few times. If you've got a question, you got concerns, you got something that's an itch that needs to be scratched, he might be able to help you with that one too, as far as an overall issue. Individual issues, that's a council thing. but you becoming aware of certain things. Like maybe you'll ask about that little welcome center that ain't.
Definitely ask
whatever
about
happened
that.
to that?
That's what I asked him about. Well,
I
we'll find out.
remember there was something that came up, but
Oh, there are a few things.
I
that came
can't
up.
remember.
I don't know.
I just remembered they mowed down the Handy Mart, and that's where they were going to put that. And I kept looking every time. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to find out. We'll have to ask the mayor.
Mike, the new sports complex area
Yay.
is council. Did I see the council was maybe possibly looking to work with the county to help with that a little bit?
Yeah, they had a joint city county meeting and they had some discussion about that because, you know, the county benefits from something like that. And that's a whole planned project. They have a consultant that's helping them decide. And, you know, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be
Yes.
extremely important for the growth of Jacksonville.
I think the county's always been a part of this, you
Mhm.
know, sports center that they're talking about over there in the Williamsburg area. You just don't hear much right
Well, I've
now.
seen the concept plan and the
Mhm.
layout of everything, which was pretty interesting. The number of fields and areas, staging areas, and I think there's a
But also it's going to be a shopping center and similar again to Mayfair where folks can can live above those businesses and
I like that.
you know
To sell and move over there.
I mean because it generates it's a good quality of life for people that might not necessarily want to drive across town to do things and just have it all available for them right in a concentrated area. And I had a friend that was the chief in Huntersville, and he took me to Burkdale, which is similar to that, but also surrounding Burkdale are neighborhoods or walkable neighborhoods. So people could walk to that shopping center, and they had, that during Christmas they had, skating and in the middle.
Caroling.
Yeah.
I love that.
Wouldn't
I
caroling be
love
great?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Skip liked it like people.
Well, and I think have made us much less sociable, and
yes.
and creating neighborhoods that are sociable can help create some of that back.
Remember, in some places they used to have things called street dances.
Mhm.
They'd close off in
Yeah.
a neighborhood. They close off a block. They would close off certain blocks at the owner's request of cul-de-sacs, primarily when over Christmas time. And like Wilmington's had one location out there that
Right.
you couldn't drive down it. People all decorated their houses. Everybody on that particular area decorated their houses,
Oh, so
and
cool.
people would drive by and get out and walk. It was
Christmas time.
just a time, for things like that. So, they kind of took it upon
They had
themselves to do it.
One huge neighborhood in
Yeah.
Wilmington.
Yeah.
Christmas time. It was so
But little things like that could mean a lot to folks. Give them
Yes.
something to do.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And, Portland, I mentioned that. Portland, Chicago, Los Angeles, there are and I'm not, as you were a police type, but you were. And you're looking to be one of the members of a governing body that decides what the police department will and will not do to a certain extent within certain parameters. How demeaning would it be for individual officers to be told by their chief, who's told by the mayor, who's told by city council, do not assist another law enforcement agency when they come in here to make arrest? How devastating would that be to you as a chief and to other lawmen? And would you ever participate in something like that on council?
I would never participate with something like that. I mean, I'm not running to run public. I did that for 20 some years.
You done that. That part's over. But
Yeah. but I question their judgment when they do that, because
You're being a very polite individual. You know that, right?
well, the reason I question it is the fact that, part of our responsibility as police officers was to keep the peace. And whether you believe in these immigration laws or not doesn't have anything to do with it. But when they burn buildings, when they close down streets, they affect the quality of life of all those citizens.
Absolutely.
When they're destroying their businesses and breaking windows and stealing stuff out, I mean, those are quality of life issues.
Mhm.
It doesn't have anything to do with immigration.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I don't quite understand that kind of philosophy, because if a community is got people rioting and assaulting people, the first thing they're going to do is move out.
You
Because
mean like in Chicago?
yeah, I mean,
Like Detroit, not Chicago.
yeah, I mean,
Look what happened to Detroit.
Yeah, and that they're at one time, and I think they're trying to change that. At one time, there was a 1 in 2 chance that you would get carjacked if you stopped for gas in Detroit. And if you drove in some of those neighborhoods, the abandoned houses were everywhere.
Yeah.
And that you can't, if those things continue, then people are going to move out.
That's the death of a city.
Yeah. And as a police officer, our job is to keep the peace and to make sure that that people have a good quality of life. And if you're not doing that, then I don't know what your purpose is.
I just cannot envision any local government, i.e. the governing body, the people that are voted in, who decide who the police chief's going to be, how the police department's going to operate, which I still think the mayor and city council has limited over anything below the chief, personally speaking.
Mhm.
But apparently in some places they do. Why do they need a chief?
I mean, as I said earlier, I'm just glad I lived in Eastern North
There you go.
Carolina.
It won't happen here, will it?
No, I don't think so.
Good.
What control does a city council have over something like the old Holiday Inn on 17 across from McDonald's that's vacant right now, and a building like that possibly could help in a homeless situation? Is there a process that maybe the city council could do to pursue that? Or
There are avenues open, and I think the United Way has been looking at the possibility of looking at that kind of. Before I left, I was part of we were working on a study and looking at how we can bring resources to address the homelessness in Jacksonville. And so there are things that they can do. One of the challenges, though, is if the building is secure and they're paying their taxes,
Sure.
you get into eminent domain, and then it becomes a little bit of a challenge. But that's a perfect example of how can we help that if he wanted to open another hotel, or if he wanted to open something else, how can we help them get that? How can we help them do that? When I was in Wisconsin just recently, one of the things is that they had a vacant lot, and a nonprofit turned it into tiny homes. And in the middle of the tiny homes was a community center. And, a family would live there, and then they would go to the community center for addiction. And they would also do it for job, to help them develop resumes and work on and just a lot of different things, a lot of different counseling and a lot of different services, so that in a year or so they could move out and move into their own home. And I think that's what we ought to be looking at, whether we use that piece of property or find some other piece of property that we can help people get up from being homeless is extremely important. I was impressed by the center that they had. They probably had 30 or 40 tiny homes, and then they had that central building where they had their laundry and they were helping folks get a step up.
We lived on Elizabeth Street, just down there, the 100 block of Elizabeth Street, when I was growing up as a kid, while we were doing some other things, my parents. And there was a little corner store. We can't call it a grocery store, but they had a little bit of everything in there, owned by a family called Sortino's. The mama, the daddy, the kids worked in the store. Everybody worked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was a business lady. Mrs. Sortino was a business lady. I'll never forget my dad talking about the day that she made the deal with Holiday Inn. And that was devastating to us, that the store was going to go away and a motel was going to be built there. But of course, we were moving anyway. And the deal was, it was a 99-year lease. She did not sell them the property. They had to pay for it each year for 99 years. I don't know what the status is. Probably the lease has been sold to somebody else or whatever, but that would be an interesting concept to find out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that going back to the Sortino's? You don't know, in 99 years. That wasn't that far away. It was pre-60, pre-1960.
Wow.
So it's been 60 plus 5 years at least.
Well,
I wonder who owns it, really.
Wow. Mike, you talked about going door to door and talking to people. Besides the economic building that they would like to see here in Jacksonville and the homelessness problem, what are some of the other concerns they had?
Well, I think they're concerned with their children, and they're concerned to make it a better place. And I mean, I think the YMCA partnership, with getting the pool is going to, that was really a good decision to look at, because for the last 20 years, every time we did a community survey, they said a community pool.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's an opportunity that the city doesn't have to spend. Obviously, they did spend money, but it's not a recurring expense.
I hope that the parents will ensure that their children, second graders, all
Yes.
go swim free, learn to swim
Yes.
free,
Yeah.
and they swim free. I really hope that they take advantage of that opportunity.
Oh,
I think that's going to be coordinated through the school system.
Yes.
It is.
And, I mean,
I assume it would still have to be parental approval.
I'm sure. But, I remember my kids, they learned to swim at a Y, and it was part of going from school, because I took off one day and took them to the pool and sat and watched them work on their swimming. So I'm excited about that because, the last year I was chief is we lost 2 or 3 people to drownings, and we shouldn't have.
Nope.
And here's an opportunity for us to make sure that kids don't drown.
I learned to swim. The recreation director, the only recreation director, was a guy named Jack Amiette when I was a kid. And we learned to swim in the community waters in Carteret County at a little small beach called Cedar Point in the Intercoastal Waterway.
I loved Cedar
We went
Point.
there, and that's where he taught us to swim.
No waves.
Yeah, except when boats went by.
Beautiful.
But I'm like, okay, we're out here in the Intercoastal Waterway, and you step out a little bit too far because it was shallow out to a certain point. then you better be able to swim.
Mm.
But he took us one-on-one, and never forget me, of all people, looking back at me now, I was afraid to get my head wet at that young age. I did not want to get underwater.
A lot of baths.
Well, they're actually having like two types of pools. They're having the pool that, that the high schools can use
Mhm.
for competition,
Right.
but there's also another pool that starts out about 6 inches and it goes deeper and deeper.
Mhm.
And the idea is that, that we can get infants used to water and
Always safe.
yeah. And, somebody, if they're a member of the Y, they can start with their infant and then they can move up and, they'll have swimming lessons throughout and so I mean, it's going to be a real plus for our community.
Let me go back to businesses that you were talking about, incentives for small business people.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, what about the large one? I know Amazon is,
They're open.
they're open.
That was fast.
Well,
Yeah.
they're kind of what I understand from a postal service deliverer whose truck was full of something, and Kathy asked him, "Why do you have all
Yeah.
those packages?" And I guess they're in transition of slowly
Yes.
working routes out. But is there room in the city for another business of that size? I know Rayford would
Yes.
love to see FedEx. He sees the truck, all
Once a month.
67 of them.
So once a month, I was challenged by one of our county commissioners last time, so I've been to Wilmington again since then. I counted them again. I leave at 9:40ish or something to a monthly appointment on a Wednesday, and I go to Wilmington. I get bored on that trip, obviously. And on this side of Holly Ridge, just north of Holly Ridge, I start picking up FedEx trucks. And so I'm making a note. The largest number of trucks that I counted before you get to the I-140 cutoff, 64. 64 FedEx trucks coming north. Now that's over a period of 25 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it took. That's a lot of trucks coming out of Wilmington.
Yeah, but
So many of them coming to this area. Others are leaving Newbern at the same time and coming here.
Wilmington is such a big hub for them because of the airport.
Well, and that's where I was going to
That's-
go with
We
this.
had
what
like
we're
a
talking
gateway. If we had like a gateway, and like we could increase our airport.
Well, and we are, and that was going to be my question to Mike. Does the city have any financial input or any input whatsoever for? I know they're extending the runway.
You got any
Right.
skin in that
11.
game?
Do you have anything in?
I
the
think
city council.
I think there's plenty of opportunities for the city and the county to work together,
Mhm.
and not just Jacksonville, but all the municipalities,
Yep.
because
Ridgelands is right there for the
Yeah.
airport. For
just like
instance.
just like you're saying. I mean, that it would be great if you had if they had the ability to do that, but that all depends on economic growth, and a lot of those companies are looking for incentives. And so what kind of incentives can we give? What kind of incentives,
tax break progressively higher.
yeah, I mean, just like we're talking about that Sears building, so it's been gone for 10 years. It's not generating sales tax revenue. And so how can we do that? And I think one of the things that we can do is we can work together, because, the sales tax and the property tax goes both to that. And if it increases, then that's beneficial. And when we want to talk about, when we spend $1 million for a fire truck, or $60,000 or $70,000 for police cars, and when we're talking about building that the multi recreation center, the sports complex, all those things take money, and right now we don't want to put that burden on our citizens.
Nope.
And so in order to do that, we've got to work together, and we've got to look for opportunities that we can improve that, because like I said, I mean, I remember when I was in high school, in the city of Johnson City, which was close to Bristol, passed liquor by the drink. And I'm not going to get into whether that was, but
I remember that in Wilmington.
yeah. But what that did was it spurred economic growth in Johnson City. Bristol used to be the hub, you know, where you went to shopping and everything else. And all of a sudden it changed. And even when Bristol did it like 10 years later, then it still didn't, you know, because all those established businesses were in Johnson City. And I think that's the same kind of thing that we ought to be thinking about, you know, with tax increment financing and all those, you know, giving them incentives. You know, it may be that, you know, we don't see return the first year, but, you know, as we go to the third or fourth or fifth year, we're going to start to see our return in our investment. And it's going to be investment in raising our tax values, and also our tax revenues, excuse me, and not putting that burden on individual citizens.
So you have two other people have filed for. So there's 3 running for 2 seats, right?
Right. That's right.
Okay. So and one is an incumbent, I believe. Right?
Cindy
Yeah,
Edwards.
Cindy.
Then someone new to the game is a Mickey Smith. She's new to running for,
Yes.
you know, an elected seat. And I've not really heard much out of her. Maybe she will contact us because I've sent her messages. But, and of course, I think Cindy Edwards is going to come on one day soon. Cindy's an incumbent, and she's done a good job while she's there. But
Weather permitting, you're going to be at National Night.
yeah,
Well, I'm just the forecast doesn't look,
I know. We were
look
just
real good
talking
for it,
about that.
but Mike, you've been at National Night Outs
Oh, yeah.
ever since you've been here. But this time you're going to be in a little different position.
Yeah.
Different role.
Yeah.
And I can tell you where his booth is going to be.
It's somewhere over there in the commons.
Yeah, when excuse me, when you first go in and you've got the big recreation building right there in front of you, and there's a huge parking lot there. Actually, right before you go in, well, you're going to go in and you're going to take your first right, and there's parking right over there.
A lot of that area going to be blocked off.
And well, it's all going to be blocked off for traffic, you know, after a certain amount of time, because you'll let your vendors come in up to a certain point of time.
Then they have to get in and get out. Though.
You know, but then they'll have a special parking area for them. And as far as everyone else, but they've got parking all the way down to the schools, and they're going to be shuttling everyone. So there's plenty of parking. No
Guess where I'm
problem
going
there.
to be.
I know you're going to be sitting in a cushy, air-conditioned office at
I'm gonna be-
Jacksonville Public Safety.
I'm going to be upstairs at the room that you made arrangements for.
Probably eating pizza.
Hadn't thought about that.
That's all right.
Well, that was a good thing. We needed to do that.
Yes,
And,
it was a
we're
very
gonna-
good
that
thing.
was last National Night Out was the first time we put that ham station at the EOC into operation,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it worked out great.
I went
we were
up there,
able
yeah, it
to,
was
we were
good.
able to work it with no problems, and we're going to be doing it again.
You know, when
This
you talk
time
about
around.
emergency management, it
is.
a lot of volunteers help us, you know, help manage those incidents.
And at National Night Out, we're going to have it's a big deal, which you were at the meeting. Oh, this is the
Yes.
newest ham, by the way.
He knows. I told him
That's her
thinking
picture up there. That's her. That's her.
right.
that's the one he sent me. Yes.
Yeah.
That's my new vest.
New vest.
My new
That was
vest.
very nice.
Yes. But going back to National Night Out, please come by and visit Mike's tent. You won't be able to miss it. And there may be some ink pens and buttons and t-shirts.
Fireworks.
Can't say how long they will last, but you need to come over and talk to him and spend a little time.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to hear what people's concerns are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'll act as a moderator and ask a question of all the those that are running. And since you're the only person here to answer, I'll ask you, what do you bring to the table to the city council?
Well, I mean, you know, I work for the state. I work for the county government, and I worked for several municipalities. And, for the last 30 years, 10 years in Bristol and 21 years here, I sat through all those council meetings and listened to concerns and listen to challenges. And I think that kind of experience I bring to the table. It's also my, for the last 34 years, I've been doing consulting with police departments across the country. So I've seen how other community, and to me, it's as close as you can get to work for an agency is, because you spend a week with them and you learn about the community and learn how. And I think all those experiences will help me working with city staff to develop policies and look how we can improve the quality of life for our community.
At all of these city council meetings that you attended in Jacksonville, not required to be there, but it's a good idea to be there
He was
under
there,
situations
right.
like that. How many times did the mayor or other council members, after they were discussing an issue that might involve the police department, but not directly, did they ask you for advice?
Yeah, they did.
I figured they did.
Yeah, they did.
That was kind of routine, wasn't it?
And we had some strategic sessions with the council in order to try to look at what our strategic goals were over the next several years. And that's part of the CLIA process. What are our goals and how? And both with accreditation for police and accreditation for fire and telecommunications, looking at what our goals are and how we evaluate those goals. And again, if we go back to the dashboard, it would be nice for communities to know that this was a goal for the department and this is how it was achieved. And so, I can't emphasize enough that kind of communication is extremely important.
So what, growing up in your formative years, he's waiting for this one, isn't he?
Yeah.
What TV program did you watch that whatever your end result was going to be that you hoped, whether it was going to be for fun, your lifestyle, or your professional, like what program
wait
on
for
TV
this.
did you watch?
Oh, that's an interesting
Hill
question.
Street Blues.
I used to watch Emergency, and I used to
Yes.
watch Adam 12.
Oh yeah,
Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, Hill Street
Oh,
Blues.
yeah.
I remember those.
Lady Blue.
Yeah, they were.
He's like, nah.
I remember Lady Blue.
That was 86, 87.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
did any of you use as training programs for you or your future?
I think it perked my interest.
Mhm.
It perked my interest. My grandfather, he was a member of a rescue squad and a volunteer fireman. And I remember he had a little store, and he would and the alarm would go off, and he would go get the ambulance and pick up people. That was a long time
Yeah.
when they had Cadillac ambulances.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I
yes.
remember that.
I remember those.
Well, from TV, I remember.
Oh, you started quite young into that EMT field.
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah, I started 15. I
Couldn't even
became
drive
an
though,
EMT.
could you?
Couldn't
No.
drive, but
Did
he
you
could
drive illegally at any time?
No,
during that
I
time?
didn't drive.
pray for him.
But I got my license at 16.
Sure.
And so and that was a good experience. It taught me a whole lot, and it helped me communicate better with people
Mhm.
when I became a law enforcement
Oh, yeah.
officer. I mean, I continued doing that work for about 20 years, probably a little bit more than 20 years, up until we moved to Jacksonville. I continued as a paramedic with the Virginia State Police, and I was a flight medic, and we pick up patients from all over
Really? Wow.
Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee, and even into North Carolina.
So you flew in the helicopters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Flying coffins.
Phew, they just had one go down last night in California,
Would you
Yeah.
hush?
right on the interstate.
I used to love flying helicopters, but
Those things are like another tin can. Stuff.
three of
Yeah.
the civilian helicopters that I flew on, not with me on them, went down.
Yeah, well, that experience gave me it was interesting because I've had worked for municipal governments, but
Mhm.
working for a state government, it really is a different animal.
Yeah.
You know, and how things get done on the state level compared to how things get
Mhm.
done on county level and a municipal
Interesting.
level, they're all different.
So,
Yeah. Well, I have no doubt that as a councilman, you will lead the way. There won't be any issues.
I think it's
and
going to
you,
be
you will fit right in.
fantastic. Yes.
And I'm reasonably sure that those on city council now are going to be pleasantly pleased, not surprised, because they know you. That's the good thing.
Well, I do want to throw a few words out here on his behalf is the fact that he's lived here for a while. He was the director of public safety. He went to every city council meeting.
Yeah.
He knows this city inside and out versus someone coming up that's never been involved with city government or county government. I mean, Mike is your person right there. I mean, he knows everybody, well respected.
I always chastise candidates who would come in and say, because one of the questions I would ask on a regular, how many council meetings or commission meetings or whatever meeting, school board, how many of those have you attended in the last year?
He's been to every one of them.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
no.
Now I can watch them on TV.
There you go.
I don't necessarily have to be there now.
You do
Right.
if you're on the council.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
how
you
I
cannot
watch.
vote from home.
I watch them on TV. That's the easiest way.
Well,
Yes.
it's less than 30 days to vote, I
Yes.
believe, if I'm not mistaken, according to my
I think
calendar.
the 16th is
Yes.
starts early voting.
Close.
16th is early voting.
Yeah.
I wrote all this right down here.
that's this
Oh.
month.
Yeah.
Starts
So you got-
16th of
You
October.
got 2 weeks to go.
2 weeks.
And
and then-
tomorrow's your October 10th is your deadline to register or update your address on your
If
voter
you've
registration.
moved, folks, save yourself the grief of having to go down and when if you've moved and you're still here, you'll be able to vote, but they're not going to count your vote until they can prove that you belong here. So save yourself the grief. Go to the Board of Elections. It'll take you just a couple of minutes. Go in there and say, "Listen up. I've moved. Here's where I am. Here's my light bill, my power bill, whatever. Here's something that says this is me and this is where I live. Y'all got it? Sign me up." It's that simple.
We wish you luck.
Well, thank you very much.
Good
I
luck.
don't-
Thanks for coming on.
I don't
He's
think a
gonna
whole
do
lot of
great.
luck's going to be
He's going to do
needed.
great. Well, I like the fact that he's been out there and he's been
Yeah,
knocking on
yeah,
doors
yeah.
and talking to people and actively involved in a lot of good organizations here in the town. So,
That's a
Good
key.
one.
That's a key for us, for me.
right.
Okay, there's coastal stormish type stuff that's going to be
Mhm.
happening beginning Thursday. Water's going to get rougher. It's already rough. It's going to get rougher, and then we're keeping our eyes on. So we'll keep you up to speed on this system down there in the central Atlantic, and it's about halfway between the Leeward Islands, the Windward and Leeward Islands, and Africa. So it's on the way, but I don't know where it's on the way to yet. Forget about that one that's over there, just crossed over the Yucatan Peninsula. That's just a range thing,
That's right.
and it'll result in some mess over in the mainland of Mexico shortly. But the one down there, we're keeping our eye on.
Mhm.
I'm leaning for it, doing like the others have done, and go pulling towards the west, northwest, and the northwest, and then the northwest, and then the north, and then go away. Leave us alone. Hate to wish it on Bermuda, but better than us. Sorry about that, y'all.
True.
Meanwhile, we will see you guys
Yeah.
tomorrow. We've got Dr. Rose in the morning.
You're
We'll see what
right.
we can do to baffle her in the morning. I think the new COVID thing is going to be one deal. The thing you were talking about this morning,
Yes.
it's targeted now on specifics instead of a wide range
That's
of
right. The
everything.
shot, the
Should not have the
vaccines are-
impact
yeah,
that you
right.
may have had before.
Right.
So we'll talk to her about that and other stuff. And Peter's going to be in here again.
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Wright, ladies, Mr. Wright will be here just for you. You got questions about Medicare? He's the man to ask the questions of, and do it now. Open enrollment starts shortly. And that means if you want to make some changes, if you haven't signed up yet, you get bombarded by phone calls, hang up on them and wait. And Peter, just call him and ask him because they'll drive you crazy. Of course, I run into them generally useless by the time they finish with me. But
Find out what his middle name is.
who, Peter?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's just, I want to know. He's from England. I want to know what his middle name is.
Leroy, you're live and local, real talk. We're always awake, never woke. Have a great day.
Have a
Be
blessed day.
safe, y'all. See ya.